Nova pulled hard on the wheel, but the ship wouldn't lift. It slammed into the slope. He felt a great lurch as the engine exploded, blowing the ship down the mountainside like a ball from a cannon. For miles it jarred and bumped over the rocks. Then, gliding onto a sandy plain, it came gently to a rest. Nova pried the door open and stepped out into a new world. Imagine, what do you think it looks like? Climbing to a high ledge, Nova gazed across the barren rocks of this desolate moon. There were no signs of the robot life. How would he ever get home? Who would take care of his mother? Who would take care of Sparky? All his life he'd wanted to explore new worlds, but now that he had the chance, he was miserable. Is this how my father feels when he's away? Nova wondered as he sank into sleep. The glint of a familiar curl of wire was the first thing to meet Nova's eyes when he woke to a cheerful new sun. It gave him an idea. He knew that his ship would never fly again, so he took out his tools and snipped the wire. Then he took other parts from the ship's engine and computers. He worked for days. Finally, he was finished. Nice to meet you, Sparky 2. Why is he calling this robot pet Sparky 2? What do you notice? 2 heads, and it's the second Sparky dog he's made. After that, Nova built many animals from pieces of his large ship. He modeled them after those in his ancient wooden ark. First came the lion, then the giraffe, the penguin and the hedgehog were next, followed by an iguana, a mule, a deer, a buzzard, a spider, a turkey, a monkey, a bat, a cat, a hummingbird, a kangaroo, and a cockatoo. Nova had a good eye for detail, but he couldn't always remember which animal was supposed to be bigger. Was a mouse bigger than a moose, he asked himself? You see the bat and the giraffe and a deer, a monkey. Can you see the mouse? Look how big the mouse is. And the lion and the buzzard and the hummingbird and the moose and the penguin and the iguana. Lastly, with the hull and nearly all the remaining parts of his ship, he constructed a truly wondrous animal, an elephant ark, whose mighty trunk bellowed a message deep into the heavens. Help! Surely my dad will find me now, thought Nova. He bowed low before his most magnificent creation. Your name will be Trumpet, he declared proudly. That night, Nova dreamt of a shooting star. It fell and fell through the blackness until it smashed into a lonely little world. As the sun rose, Nova awoke to see a pillar of smoke drifting across the horizon. The shooting star, he thought. He directed Trumpet toward the smoke. It's a fallen spaceship, Nova cried. Twisted wreckage was scattered as far as he could see. The robot pilot lay ripped to pieces in the sand. Dad, shouted Nova. Taspit's eyes flickered as he struggled to consciousness. Nova, he coughed. I thought I'd never find you. Then the light faded from his eyes. Though he worked for days, never stopping to rest, Nova couldn't revive his father. Exhausted, he sobbed in despair. His animals stood quietly around him. Trumpet broke the silence. I've often thought of my trunk as very much like an arm, he said. If it would help your father, I'd like you to take any part of it you need. And a tail is a wondrous instrument, said Sparky 2. I'm sure your father would like to have my tail. Each animal gave something of himself for Nova's father. Inspired by their sacrifice, Nova gave the greatest gift of all, a valve from his very own heart. Their generosity was rewarded. I feel like a new robot, said Taspet, leaping to his kangaroo feet and swishing his shiny new tail. The proud father looked down at the strange and wonderful body Nova had built for him. My brilliant son, he laughed, lifting his boy into the air. My Nova. Together, father and son looked to see what they could do about Taspet's wrecked ship. The hull was broken beyond repair, but the engine was still intact. The engine is no use without a spaceship, said Taspet sadly. But Nova had an idea. What do you think? What's a good idea or solution? With Trumpet's help, they dragged the huge engine from the crater it had carved. It was then that Nova and his father made the discovery of their lives. A gaping hole at the bottom of the crater revealed a giant cavern of dazzling crystal. Taspet stood in awe, shielding his eyes against the blinding light. You found what I've been searching for all these years, he roared. We're on Zeit! You see the crystals? Nova and his animals attached the engine to Trumpet's belly. They all loaded his fuel tank with the radiant Zeit crystals, then gathered more and filled his hull. Time to head home, smiled Taspet. They're flying their elephant spaceship. Back on Roton, Nova was a great hero. There was enough Zeit crystal to power their world forever. Luna was overjoyed. Her husband and son were home for good. Taspet was happy to give up searching the galaxies for energy. It was really a very lonely job, he said. Look at that big celebration. From now on, when Nova's father wanted to explore exotic planets, he made sure the whole family came along. Nova's Ark by David Kirk.